You finally taste it. The win. The breakthrough. The moment you once prayed for when nobody believed in you. The silence is gone. The struggle looks different now. People start noticing. Results start showing. Money changes. Opportunities open. Your name starts carrying weight. And this is where most people die. Not physically. Mentally. Spiritually. Discipline-wise. Hunger-wise. Because success is more dangerous than failure. Failure sharpens you. Success softens you. Failure builds the warrior. Success tests if the warrior was real. You think the war is over because you won one battle. But the war just entered a new level. Different enemies. Different temptations. Different distractions. Different traps. You don't drown in storms. You drown in calm water. You don't lose when life is hard. You lose when life gets comfortable. I've seen it. Talented men who made it out the mud. Then died in luxury. Athletes who trained like lions. Then turned into house cats. Entrepreneurs who built empires from nothing. Then got addicted to applause instead of progress. They stopped starving. They stopped hunting. They stopped evolving. Because success whispered lies. You made it. You deserve rest. You're ahead now. You don't have to push like before. You can slow down. That voice sounds friendly. But it's a killer. Because the moment you stop sharpening the blade, rust starts forming. The moment you stop training the mind, weakness starts growing. The moment you stop fighting for growth, decay begins. See, discipline isn't built for the bottom. It's tested at the top. It's easy to be hungry when you're broke. It's easy to grind when you're losing. It's easy to fight when your back is against the wall. The real test is when the wall disappears. When the pressure lifts. When the urgency fades. When life gets easier. That's when identity is exposed. Because some people love the grind. But they don't love growth. They love the story of struggle. But not the responsibility of success. They love the climb. But not the maintenance of the mountain. You don't rise to success. You are held there by discipline. And discipline doesn't care about trophies. Doesn't care about followers. Doesn't care about bank accounts. Doesn't care about titles. It only cares about standards. Who are you when nobody's watching anymore? Who are you when the pressure is gone? Who are you when you already proved something to the world? Because that version of you decides your future. Success should not slow you down. It should sharpen you. It should make you more obsessed, more focused, more disciplined, more ruthless with your time, more protective of your standards. Because now you have something to lose. And weak men protect comfort. Strong men protect identity. A lion doesn't stop hunting because it ate once. A soldier doesn't stop training because he won one war. A storm doesn't weaken because it broke one city. Momentum is fragile. You either feed it, or it dies. And here's the truth nobody tells you. Success exposes laziness faster than failure. Failure forces action. Success allows excuses. Failure creates structure. Success invites chaos. Failure builds routines. Success tempts indulgence. That's why most people peak once. One good year. One good season. One good run. One good chapter. Then decline. Not because they can't win again, but because they stopped becoming. They started maintaining instead of building. Protecting instead of pushing. Preserving instead of evolving. They traded growth for comfort. Edge for ease. Fire for familiarity. But real winners don't retire mentally. They upgrade. They don't slow down. They level up. They don't get comfortable. They get sharper. They don't celebrate the finish line. They build another one. Because they understand something deeper. Success is not a destination. It's a responsibility. It's not a reward. It's a weight. It's not the end. It's a test of character. And the higher you go, the more dangerous complacency becomes. At the bottom, mistakes hurt. At the top, mistakes destroy. At the bottom, laziness costs time. At the top, laziness costs legacy. At the bottom, weakness delays progress. At the top, weakness ends dynasties. You don't need the same hunger. You need a stronger one. A deeper one. A quieter one. A colder one. Not desperation hunger. Purpose hunger. Not survival hunger. Legacy hunger. Not I need to prove myself hunger. I refuse to betray my potential hunger. Because now you're not fighting for survival. You're fighting for standards. For legacy. For identity. For the man you said you would become. And the scariest place in life is not the bottom. It's the middle of success. Where life is good enough to make you lazy. Comfortable enough to make you weak. Safe enough to make you soft. This is where men fade. Not in chaos. In comfort. Not in storms. In silence. Not in struggle. In stability. And that's why discipline must become your religion. Not motivation. Not hype. Not emotion. Identity. You train because that's who you are. You work because that's who you are. You grow because that's who you are. You push because that's who you are. Not because you're chasing something, but because you refuse to become someone weak. Because the goal was never success. The goal was becoming dangerous. Dangerous in discipline. Dangerous in focus. Dangerous in consistency. Dangerous in standards. Dangerous in mindset. Success is just a side effect. And if you're listening to this after you've already won something, this is your warning. Don't slow down. Don't soften. Don't drift. Don't decay. Don't settle. Don't coast. Because the fall doesn't come from failure. It comes from comfort. It comes from entitlement. It comes from ego. It comes from laziness disguised as balance. It comes from discipline erosion. It comes from identity collapse. Stay sharp. Stay obsessed. Stay structured. Stay uncomfortable. Stay hungry. Not for money. Not for attention. Not for validation. For growth. For mastery. For evolution. For legacy. Because the man who keeps climbing after success is unstoppable. The man who keeps training after winning is untouchable. The man who keeps becoming after arriving is legendary. Success didn't change you. It revealed you. Now decide who you are. If this message lit a fire in you, then it's time to act. Drop this in the comments right now. I don't slow down after success, so that I know you stayed all the way till the end. And you will keep evolving when others start decaying.